Live from London, this is Talk Women.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Talk Women. Oh my goodness, we have a real treat planned for you today. It is the one and only Emily Austin. This is someone who takes women's rights very seriously. She's stuck up for them left, right, and center within her career. She's also advocated for immigration control, anti-woke. She is all the good things that we love on this show, and I'm so happy to have her here. The main thing that made me think about her was this clip. Let's just take a little look at Emily being very straightforward about what she thinks of the pontification of those wokies at the Grammys.
Standing ovation for Ice Out. I'm going to sit down. You should all be ashamed of yourself. We love America. I love our law enforcement.
It's just absolutely brilliant, saying what everyone at home is thinking for once, while those people in their bejeweled outfits that have flown there on private jets, that live in gated communities, lecture us on what to think about what's happening in the real world. Well, Emily Austin, host of The Emily Austin Show, welcome. Welcome to Talk Women. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I already love this show because I love the accent.
Thank you. No one's ever said that to me before. Usually people absolutely hate it, so I'll take it. A win is a win.
Really?
Well, I'm in Britain, the land of, I'm kind of an invader in my own way, being an Australian over here. But that's a story for another time. Look, Emily, what made you go to the Grammys and have this response? I mean, first of all, you looked wonderful on the red carpet, or should I say the sort of champagne carpet that was there. What was your feeling at the Grammys, and why did you speak out against this nonsense?
Well, first of all, I want to clarify. Everyone's like, Billie won a Grammy and you dropped 20K for a ticket. I was invited, and I'm going to be invited again next year. So y'all better keep those tears ready for another year. So I'm just going to preface with that. Why did I go to the Grammys? I love music. There were so many artists that I really, really like that were nominated for Grammys. Of course, I anticipated the woke nonsense, but I'm so secure in my beliefs that, unlike Democrats, I don't mind when you have a differing opinion than my own, because I know what I believe in and it's okay to disagree. That's how I think. That's how most conservatives think, not including the woke right. And the Democrats don't know how to handle a differing opinion. So when I did that, it broke the internet because Billie's cult-like, no one's illegal on stolen land, woke mind virus all started to attack me consistently. But then I represent 70% of America who voted for Donald Trump, who voted for closed borders, who voted for deporting illegals like every previous president had done. And I think I represented a silent majority who are afraid to speak up because they're scared they'll lose a brand deal or lose money or get fired from their work. And I can't blame them for thinking that way, because when I see how I was treated, and I'm like, I have thick skin, what if you don't? But I also strongly believe that I was scrutinized the way I was because not enough people do speak up. So we have quite a problem.
Well, there certainly aren't enough people like you in the room, conservatives, who, as you said, represent over half the nation now. I mean, it's just insane. It makes me want to throw up this bubble that the Billie Eilishes of the world live in Hollywood and LA, which is quite frankly a dump now under Gavin Newsom. It's quite interesting. Piers Morgan, our, I would say, mutual friend, I mean, we've both been on his show many times. He says that woke is dead. Now, do you believe that? Because that's the only kind of thing that I push back with Piers on a lot of things, but that's the main thing I think he's gotten wrong there. He's done a whole book about it, and I'm not trying to slag off Piers, because within that book he did say a lot of very interesting things, and I think the tide has changed. You can see that with the Trump presidency. Hopefully over here we will get a much more conservative government, because God knows we need it. But do you think woke is dead? I mean, you were just kind of in the cesspit just a couple weeks ago of wokeness.
Is woke dead? I think that's a optimistic way to look at it. It's most certainly not dead. Is, like you said, has the tide turned? Absolutely. When Donald Trump won, he proved a few things. He proved that he will not entertain the nonsense, which he's proved through his actions. But immediately, the night of the election, there's one thing we learned as a country. Nobody values the opinion of a celebrity. Nobody does. When you turn on the Grammys, you're not like, wow, I wonder what Billie thinks about Ice today. No, nobody cares about that. The same way nobody cared when Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris. We didn't care when Cardi B endorsed her, Meg Thee Stallion, all incredible artists. It did not help her win the election clearly because I'd like to think the average person understands that we are not like Billie Eilish or even Bernie Sanders, who just spent $600,000 on tax-paying dollars on private jets. Fun fact, the one who yells at millionaires and billionaires for being too capitalist is the most capitalistic person I've ever seen. We are not out of touch with reality, but these celebrities are. And before everyone attacks me, I know to a certain extent the same applies to me. When you turn on DAZN to watch a boxing fight, you're not like, oh, I wonder what Emily thinks about Donald Trump today. However, I'm not trying to mix the two. I have my political opinions. I post them on my social media. When I do my boxing fights, I don't wear ice out. I don't do anything silly because I know what the person's tuning in for. And celebrities need to know their place in a way. And it's not so extreme like, I don't like when Laura Ingraham said shut up and dribble. I thought that was also out of touch because we can't expect that. But at the same time, understand that you're being divisive when you're taking a stance as someone who's a public figure, as a role model, especially someone like Billie with such a young and impressionable audience.
It's such a good point. And I made this on some of the other shows as well. I was like, she's actually inciting violence, in my opinion. It's almost a call to action to get people back out onto the streets. I mean, the reason that we've seen all these deaths is because people are actively going towards law enforcement and challenging them because these woke celebrities are telling them to do so, essentially. I would go so far as to say that. And it's really interesting because Obama deported more people than Trump has, and we didn't see riots like that. I mean, we've had a home secretary over here that has she's a very lefty, labor-loving liberal, but she has deported 60,000 people and we don't have a single protest on the streets. So you can see it's this complete witch hunt against the Trump administration, just trying to do their job. I mean, they ran sort of on an anti-immigration ticket. They told the voters they would do this. This is what people voted for. And, you know, you've got your murder rates down massively over in the States. I just saw Caroline Levitt read that out, which is just incredible news. And I think there is a direct correlation there. But I do just want to quickly talk about Zohran Mamdani. Now, I know that you grew up in the New York area, and this just must be kind of like a travesty for you to have someone like Zohran come in and upend a city that you probably still love. But we've got something so similar over here in London. We've got this Muslim mayor called Sadiq Khan who has...
Oh, I know Sadiq.
Oh, do you? Oh, gosh.
We all know about
sorry.
Sadiq. He's the keyboard warrior.
Well,
he's the one that talks and doesn't do anything.
I mean, Trump's no friend of his, I can tell you that much. I think he hates him more than he hates our prime minister, which I don't blame him for. But what do you think the future holds for New York? And what do you think of Zohran Mamdani coming in? What does that signify?
It signifies that we are dumb, that New Yorkers have to be the official most low IQ people to elect someone like him. It's a lesson. Hillary Clinton learned this. Andrew Cuomo learned this. You don't campaign with arrogance. You don't act like you won the race prematurely. You campaign like you're losing every single day. They both lost. But the reason I think they both lost, and I'm a Republican who literally, started Hot Girls for Cuomo, which was a joke that also exploded. But, his campaign was lazy. It was so lazy. New Yorkers defaulted to Mamdani because he's a good actor and he has a mother as a movie producer in Hollywood and created these really, almost SNL-like funny skits as a campaign. But the problem is he brought out the Gen Z vote. And my generation are very low IQ, who like social media and think that everything in reality is what you see online. And that's the generation Mamdani really tapped into through these like SNL-like skits. He has no qualifications, which to me isn't political. Hey, the guy never held a job in his life. Why should he be the mayor of the greatest city in the world? That's my point. Actually, I want to point something out. I have a list of things wrong with Mamdani, and being Muslim is not even on that list. No. So when everyone attacked us for saying, oh, you're an Islamophobe if you don't like Mamdani, And I ask them, why do you like Mamdani? And don't say anything about religion in this conversation. No one has a valid reason. It's just, oh, well, Cuomo inappropriately touched woman. First of all, there were allegations yet to be proven true. And second of all, it doesn't mean Mamdani is the better choice. Sometimes it's about the lesser of two evils. Anyway, fast forward, he's the mayor now. New York looks horrendous. 13 people died from a snowstorm. That's never happened under any mayor. And we've had some pretty bad mayors in my lifetime.
That's crazy.
The streets are filled with garbage. Now, it's always bad, not to this extent. The snow is 10 feet tall in some places, just filthy with slush and dirt, and it's just all over the street. You can't even get from the street to the sidewalk. Like someone generously made a tiny pathway, and like I wear high heels, and it's very frustrating to walk around.
Yes.
Not to mention, and I'm not going to say like, oh, it's because I'm a Jew. I've never felt unsafe walking around the streets any more than today. Like yesterday, I was on FaceTime with my friend walking around, and I said, why do I feel like I need to always look over my shoulder now? And it's not because of Mamdani necessarily. It's because someone like him, a socialist communist, oh, prison is a social construct. Criminals just needed a therapist. Now that that rhetoric is out there, he's empowering the criminals. He's empowering violent people because they know they almost have a get out of jail free card. So it's not that Mamdani is the almighty, all powerful. That's actually stupid Governor Hochul. But because he set that precedent that like I'm on the side of not the victims, but the criminals, they now have this sense of empowerment and entitlement to do whatever they feel like doing. And they think they have Mamdani's support, which they probably do.
It's so true. I mean, it's literally student politics that he's running one of America's biggest cities on. It's actually horrible. And it could be, quite frankly, the death of New York City as we know it. I mean, this is just the first couple of weeks of his reign, and I'm already seeing horrible stuff on Twitter. I mean, it was already in a state of disrepute. But now I don't know if it can come back from that. And you're right about the young people. I mean, they're the ones who voted him in, and especially young women voted him in. I feel like that's one sort of area voter-wise that conservatives really struggle to tap into. I know we're on a female show at the moment, and I'm very sort of, I've got no time for left-wing women because I think they just don't understand what they're buying into and how they're hating themselves when they are becoming left-wing and embracing all these liberal ideas. But why would you say that a bunch of left-wing women voted for Mamdani, and why can't the conservative movement pick up those votes?
Well, the conservative movement had Curtis Sliwa, who I will never forgive in my life for not dropping out. I'm telling you, if I'm on my deathbed and Curtis came to me from the heavens and said, Emily, forgive me, the answer is no.
But he had the
Because
cats.
I actually,
he had the cats, Emily.
I don't care about him and his cat. I'm a dog girl anyway. No, I like cats, but whatever. Curtis was so selfish. And if you ask me, and this is not proven, but my own theory, he was working with Mamdani on this because there was no reason he should not have dropped out. And if he had dropped out, I promise you Cuomo would have won. And Sliwa showed up to Mamdani's celebratory party. This guy's a socialist communist. You kept saying you're not dropping out because you think a Republican needs to govern New York City. And then that's what you do. You show up to the communists' winning party. Anyway, I think Sliwa was in on it.
I agree with you.
First and foremost, we had a weak candidate. That's why the conservatives had no traction in this movement. So we defer to Andrew Cuomo, who's most certainly nowhere near a conservative, but again, the lesser of two evils. Now, the liberals don't resonate with Cuomo, although he is a Democrat, because of the Me Too movement. I could do a whole episode on the Me Too movement. It's not for right now.
Don't get me started.
No, we should do another whole segment on this.
Yes.
But Emily M. Rata, whoever that supermodel
Oh, God, the one with the big
really
boobs
not.
and the big ass and like always has an opinion on something and is never informed. Yes.
That's kind of
That's
you.
not
I don't
me.
even think her boobs are that big. And I don't think her butt's that big. And I don't think her face is that nice or attractive. And I don't think her personality is attractive. So there's nothing special there.
She's in
But
media.
She
She latches on.
Right. She just made Mamdani look sexy. And there's nothing sexy about him. And not physically, not emotionally, not personality-wise. And then the pointing out the Me Too stuff on Cuomo's side really, really did not help him. And unfortunately, New York is blue. It's going to be blue for a long time. But at least I don't mind a good moderate. I don't. But Mamdani or Cuomo, God save us all.
Yeah, I think this is what happens when the town of the Nepo babies kind of runs it. I mean, London has the same issue where you get a bunch of people that, are very wealthy, probably from conservative families, but then just end up voting because they want the free groceries. They want the communist lifestyle. They don't want to work for anything. Why would they? I do feel like that's the condition. And unfortunately, I feel like it's going to run that once great city into the ground. But speaking of people running things into the ground, I was very surprised by your reaction to the Super Bowl that happened just this past weekend, because you've come out essentially in favor of the highly controversial halftime performance. Now, I've actually got to agree with you on this one. I saw your tweet as well saying, I've lost followers through this, but this is what I stand by, and I really respect you for that, because I think that's what differentiates you from being some sort of, total campaignist or a sleuth for some sort of politician to being an actual journalist, which is what you've always been. You've got an independent opinion. What did you think of the Super Bowl? And why did you come to that conclusion? Because it's divided the entire nation, the entire world for that matter. We're talking about it over here in the United Kingdom.
First of all, I just want to preface by saying that the fact that we are in a cultural civil war over a halftime performance just shows how low we've come as a country. The fact that we have real domestic issues, people are being murdered. We still have protests in Minnesota with all the low IQ people who hate ICE, who protect them, and they don't see it that way. We have so many domestic problems, and Bad Bunny is dividing the internet. The fact that it's even a controversial opinion, why can't it just be, oh, you like him? Oh, okay, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what the whole conversation should have been. Now, I'm a bit extreme here because I happen to not like his music. I love his music. He has been my Spotify #1 artist 3 years in a row, so long before he was going to do the Super Bowl. And by the way, I don't speak Spanish. I genuinely just vibe to the music every summer. It's like my go-to playlist, his album, Un Verano Sin Ti, which is like one summer. I don't even know. I don't even know what it means. I like the music. So when I saw he was doing the Super Bowl, immediately I was like, oh my gosh, yay. And then, most of my peers were like, no, we need someone who represents America. And here is my argument till today. The NFL didn't come up with this decision out of nowhere. And trust me, I disagree with a lot of their very woke decisions. He won Grammys in the United States. He was top artist for the United States. He won Album of the Year in the United States. So clearly he's the best artist of the year. And let's be honest with ourselves. You want to talk about an anti-American performance? That was Kendrick Lamar last year, who brought out Uncle Sam and mocked him. And let me also add something. Kendrick, who was speaking English, I didn't understand the word of what he said either. And you want to talk about controversial lyrics? Kendrick's songs are about calling Drake a pedophile, okay? So excuse Bad Bunny for having
gang
hot
violence.
Latinas.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's selective outrage. It's all pushing a political agenda. And what was frustrating from my own side was the fact that I lost hundreds of followers. And it's like, so what if we don't agree on this one thing? It's not a policy. It's nothing crazy. It's not important. In fact, tomorrow it won't be a conversation at all.
No.
And we can all just disagree and move on. But instead it's like, wow, you lost me for life. The Democrats got to you. They're paying you, honey. No sides are paying me. That's for certain. You only lose money being political. But, I had to just stand true to what I believe in. And if you unfollowed me, then I don't think you're the type of follower I want supporting me anyway.
Totally. I think you stood true to what you've actually been saying all along since even the Billie Eilish fiasco, which is that there shouldn't be politics within art. It just shouldn't be a thing. I think you've said Billie should shut up when, I'm paraphrasing that, when she's talking about her political beliefs. I think Bad Bunny, why are we making this into a political thing? It doesn't need to be. I don't think he made that performance specifically political. I do think his Grammy speech was political, and that was a bit ridiculous because it's like, did America really suppress you? Like, I think you're winning Grammy of the Year. I don't think it's that suppressive of a country if you can come from, wherever and win. And I also thought it was funny to see some of the commentary on it, the Jake Pauls of the world, who I've got some time for, but, going like Puerto Rico, get out. And it's like, isn't Puerto Rico part of America last
Wait,
time I
Jake
checked?
lives in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and he
You know
lives
that?
in Puerto Rico. Yeah. So I don't. I don't know why he was trolling everyone on this. I agree with you. It's a halftime show. I mean, it was slightly... It's so heated at the moment, and it's annoying to see like the ladies of The View totally co-opt the performance and like call it this sort of like...
Wait, can I tell you something? I had
Go
to have a self-reflection point because Whoopi Goldberg tweeted something and I agreed with it.
Oh,
And I
God.
said,
Oh, God. What's going
wait.
on?
I said, now I need to question if I'm thinking the right way. Because if we see eye to eye on something, it's likely maybe I'm corrupted here. So I had to pause. And I was like, okay, it's just a rare occurrence.
At least it wasn't Sunny Hostin. Then I'd really be wondering if you're taking something at the moment and that's making you quite crazy. She's the real crazy one on the panel, in my opinion. But no, I think we can come to an agreement about that. I mean, I know I watched Megyn Kelly as well, and I couldn't agree with a lot of what she was saying. But it's just. Look, lastly, I can't really end on something light, but we both, have Jewish heritage, and I've loved all the stuff that you've done on Israel, working really, really closely with that administration and kind of trying to get the message out there and make sure that the PR war in the one way, I'm not talking about it, it's weird when I phrase it like that, but make sure that Israel's actual message is true and clear. And I think you've done such a good job of that, because sometimes I feel like Gaza is winning that with all their weird fake news that they put out into the social media, and everyone sees that and just gets completely indoctrinated. I mean, we're seeing it over here. We obviously saw it in Australia, my homeland, with the horrible Bondi attack that it culminated in. And at the moment, we've got Herzog over in Australia, and there are protests over in the streets just everywhere, and it's horrible to see. I mean, genuinely, do you think it's ever going to get better? I mean, the hostages are back, the ones that we could get back, and I thank God every day for that. But what is going on with anti-Semitism in the West? I know this is a very general question, but I just want to know your view, because I thought it would get better once, that Trump found some level of peace within the Middle East. It seems to have just gotten worse, Emily.
Yeah, you get to a point in life where you just have to evaluate, are my efforts moving the needle? Is this worth killing myself over? And looking back, I wouldn't have changed a thing. I think my efforts during the war were appreciated by non-jihadis. I think I did a service to Israel and to the United States, because when people ask me why I support Israel, it's the same reason why I support the United States. It's the values I stand for. But I'm done. I'm done with all of it. I've reached the point. I read the book. It's funny. She's super liberal, but I love this book. Mel Robbins. She has a book that's
I
called
love
Let
her
Them.
too. Yes, it's really
I adore
good.
her, and I think that's how you should live your life. It's I've gotten to a point, if you don't like Israel, good for you. They're not going anywhere. I'm Jewish. If you don't like me, that's too bad. I'm here to stay. And you know what? The same applies to, I guess, Palestine. They're not going anywhere. We're all here. If you want to kill me and you want to F around and find out, you're going to learn the lesson all over again. Everyone knows where I stand at this point. It's I'm a Zionist. I'm a Jew. If you disagree with me, it's just too bad. I don't really give into the victim narrative. Piers had me on after the Bondi shooting, and he's like, Emily, it must be so scary to be Jewish. And I'm like, no, Piers, no, it's not. We're not victims. We're actually arguably the most successful demographic as a minority in history, in the world. Despite the Holocaust, despite all these attacks that keep happening, we are not victims. And once you leave that mentality, you start to thrive. And I feel like more Jews need to adopt that mentality. We're not victims. We defend ourselves. Holocaust will not happen again. These terror attacks, we're going to be more prepared. And that's that. And I feel like this whole woes me, oh my God, everybody move to Israel. It's no longer safe for us. Sweetheart, that's exactly what they want. You're helping them get rid of us. I'm not moving to Israel because I will not let the anti-Semites in the United States have the satisfaction of me leaving this country. And I contribute to the country, unlike a lot of people. So I'll leave it at that. I'm very optimistic about the future. I think we should stop entertaining the anti-Semitism. I didn't even know who Nick Fuentes and what's his name, Clavicle? I don't even know who they were until Jews made it a problem. So I'm done with the whole narrative.
You know, the death of Charlie Kirk for some reason as well just fueled all of that. It's like blame the Jews. I think the whole thing about Jewish people is that they refuse to be victims, and that's why people end up hating them, because they understand that they can't poke them with that pole. They won't go anywhere. So I appreciate.
I want to make a t-shirt. Jews are not the reason your life sucks.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so simple, but I just hate that we've gotten to this point. I mean, I've never heard that perspective about people who do move to Israel being in a way kind of submitting to what's been happening in the West. But you're right. And even when I went on Piers, he was asking me, you know, will Australia ever be the same? And I'm like, it will be. But we talk too much about anti-Semitism and we talk less about Islamism. And that would be a whole other episode to get into, because I think that's the real threat actually to the West and what's been going on.
We need to come back and we need to talk about the Me Too movement.
Oh, Me Too movement, Islamism, just the light topics. That'd be great. Emily, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. I always feel infinitesimally more smart. Wow, Samara. String a sentence together. Sorry, it's been a long day. I've been on breakfast. Thank you so much for joining us. And as ever, do come back because we've got a lot more to get into. Thank you.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on this very special edition of Talk Women. We'll be doing more of these one-on-one interviews. If there's anyone in particular that you want us to interview, do let us know in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, let us know how you feel about this episode, and we will be back next week for another special edition of Talk Women.